Hello aspirants, welcome to another session of the daily newspaper analysis. This video is brought to you by the Gurudev Academy. This is a brief introduction about me. A quick announcement, new batch is going to start, IAS, KAS, PS as well as banking batch is going to start from August 5. Please call us and please inquire about this batch and do enroll. So looking at the topics that we are going to look at, today we are going to look at these topics. The first topic that we are going to look, before that we are going to look at the questions that were given in the last video. The first question was, which of the following industry is not included in the core sector? We have discussed this. Core sector has 8 industries. Okay, so under it, iron. Okay, iron is not included in the core industries. Then which state topped the list in assembly holdings in 2021? This had appeared in the newspaper, and the answer here is Kerala. Okay, Kerala topped the list here. Then where is the gift city located? Here the gift city is located in the state of Gujarat. Okay, so these were the questions. Please write your answers in the comment section to the questions that are given at the end of the video. So moving ahead, this is the first topic that we are going to look at. This is the major development that is happening in Taiwan right now. So Pelosi, she is the speaker of the US Assembly, and she has landed in Taiwan, and this will have a major implications on the relation between China and US. But before that, we will look at the brief history of Taiwan. The history of Taiwan is very interesting. The history of Taiwan is one which should be studied in detail, but we cannot go in detail. We'll just look at few facts relating to your exams. Firstly, when we look at China, okay, China was ruled by a Qing dynasty here. But after the Sino-Japan war that took place, Japan took over China. Okay, Japan was looking after the administration of China here. But after the end of Second World War, when Japan lost the war, Japan vacated China, and China came back to the China was handed over to the Chinese people. After that, from 1945 to 1949, what was happening is this China, okay, the whole territory of China was being administered by a nationalist government here. Okay, it was administered by nationalist government, but 1949 was a turning point. 1949, we had civil war. Okay, civil war where the communist came out victorious, and communist came victorious, and they took over China here. So what happened is then the communist took over China, and the nationalist government that was ruling, they came to Taiwan. Okay, they came to Taiwan and established Republic of China. There are two Chinas, that is Republic of China as well as PRC, that is your People Republic of China. Here another name of Taiwan is Chinese Taipei. Okay, so what happened in 1949 after civil war? The nationalist government, they came to this island of Taiwan and established Republic of Taiwan, and the original mainland China is called as People's Republic of China. Okay, so when this Republic of China was established, these ROC leaders, not only the leaders escaped from the mainland China, but also intellectuals, okay, leaders. Around 2 million people, okay, around 2 million people came from the mainland China to the Taiwanese island, and also they brought in a lot of national treasure like gold. Okay, they brought in a lot of gold to this island of Taiwan. Later, what happened is in 1971, since there were two China that were present, in 1971, the United Nations expelled ROC, that is Republic of China, and UN recognized only one China, that is People's Republic of China. Then what happened is, of the international governments as well, started recognizing PRC and not ROC. This isolated ROC completely, this isolated Taiwan completely. But Taiwan, okay, there is something called as Taiwan miracle. That is, after such events happened, when the Taiwanese government was not being recognized by the international governments, the Taiwan went into isolation and it focused on industrialization and economic growth, and that is called as Taiwanese miracle. Okay, what was the result? Between 1965 to 1986, the GNP of Taiwan grew to 360%. Okay, that is a huge number. The gross national product of Taiwan grew up to 360%. The social and economic gap narrowed between the Taiwanese people. The level of poverty decreased between the Taiwanese people here. And what was the result? The result was Taiwan, along with Singapore, South Korea, Hong Kong, it is recognized as the 4 Asian tigers because of the economic growth that happened. Also, the economic growth, okay, it gave way for demand for sovereignty from Beijing. Why? Because what happened is we have one China system. One China system means though there are two Chinas, we have only one China, that is PRC, and this ROC does not have complete sovereignty here. Okay, they don't have complete sovereignty. So that is the case when we look at the relation between the mainland China as well as the ROC, that is your Republic of China. When we look at it, there is one important thing that you have to note here, that is the Taiwanese Strait. Okay, this Taiwanese Strait. Okay, this is the strait that is separating mainland China as well as Taiwan. So it is militarily very difficult for China to attack Taiwan because please don't underestimate the military power of Taiwan. Taiwan is very strong militarily, as well as US previously as well has said that openly that if Taiwan is being attacked militarily by China, they are going to defend the island of Taiwan. Okay, so for Taiwan to be attacked, it is nearly impossible for China because they have to move through the oceans, and the Taiwanese already have a strong force of around 2 million plus reserve as well as active force. So it is militarily impossible for China to occupy Taiwan. That is why China has been putting a lot of economic pressure, because China and Taiwan are natural economic partners, and China is the largest trading partner of Taiwan here. Fine. So these are the relation between China and Taiwan, and this is also the brief history of Taiwan here. When we look at India's stand, what India says here, India for now has no diplomatic relation with Taiwan. Okay, it does not have any diplomatic relation with Taiwan, and it also follows one China policy, that is it recognizes only one China, that is PRC, that is your People's Republic of China here. But since these developments are going on, since US and many other countries are recognizing the sovereignty of Taiwan, it is interesting to see what India's stand will be here. What will India do when if some aggression is shown by China? China has promised that they are going to have they are going to be military repercussions of Pelosi visiting Taiwan here. So we will look ahead if any developments take place. We will look at this matter again. Please remember the history of Taiwan here. Moving ahead, we will look at the editorial that has been given here, making sense of the freebie issue. See, this is a very easy article. I want you all to read it. I'll just give a crux of what the editor wants to say here. When we look at the issue of freebies, okay, this issue of freebies has been surfacing because of the recent speech made by the Honorable Prime Minister, as well as the PIL that has been filed in the Supreme Court relating to the freebies and whether the political parties should be allowed to announce freebies in their electoral manifestos, because the Supreme Court here believes that it is a serious issue, and according to some political analysts, they say that freebies here causes violation of free and fair election. So when we look at freebies, it is very important to define what a freebie is. Okay, so how do you consider what do you consider as a freebie? Okay, if a politician is promising you that he is going to give some favors if he is getting elected, that can be considered as a freebie. But there is a very narrow gap when we look at welfare and freebies, because the government under constitution is under an obligation here to fulfill some of the welfare schemes, to do some of the welfare measures, and to fulfill its welfare measures, the government has to provide for freebies there. Freebies here, okay, some believe that freebies are impacting on our subsidy bill. Okay, some believe that the freebies, the free measures that are provided, it is impacting on the subsidies, because the Indian government gives out a lot of subsidies, for example, for farmers, okay, in case of farmers, in case of the marginalized sections, in case of the other communities, okay. When it comes to state governments as well, they are providing with some of the freebies which are putting a lot of pressure on the subsidies that are given out. So what does the author say here? The author has said that these freebies, these welfare schemes that are given here, they are for sure giving are putting a lot of pressure on the subsidies, but also they are improving our HRD, that is the human resource development. The human development is taking place when we are giving such freebies here. The author has taken several examples here. Firstly, when we look at the food grain distribution here, see, during the time of the COVID, a Garib Kalyan Yojana was announced where free food, free grains were given out for the ration card holders here, because COVID was a really bad time, and that time such schemes were announced. But this scheme is not only a freebie here, because it has two main implications. Firstly, it is implicit income transfer for poor. See, if a poor, he is not given such food grain distribution, free food grain distribution, he has to pay out of the pocket for this food grains, and it will be an extra burden on the already less income that he has. So when the food grain distribution is given out freely, it is implicit income transfer for the poor. It is helping him to concentrate on other aspects of life when his income, with his income, than paying for the food grains here. Also, it is helping the farmers. How? By the public procurement that is done at MSP. The MSP procurement that is done by the FCI, that is the Food Corporation of India, is mainly used for the PDS distribution, that is a public distribution system. So this is helping both the farmers as well as the poor here. Okay, so this Garib Kalyan Yojana that we had during the COVID time, it would have not been possible if there was no Food Security Act that was passed in the 2013. Okay, so this in a way is helping for the human resource development here. Also, the case of Manrega, also the case of midday meals. Okay, here Manrega is providing for 100 days of work. Okay, 100 days of work. Midday meal, it is encouraging for gross enrollment ratio. That is, the enrollment in schools has been increasing drastically with the introduction of midday meals. It is also helping for the kids who are provided with the food to concentrate on the study aspects. Fine. So these are the examples that the author has taken here to establish a fact that though these freebies are exerting a lot of pressure on the subsidy that we give, on the financial resources that are provided, but also they are helping for the human resource development here. In the end, the author argues between the freebies and the incentives culture. See, freebies, when they are given for the poor, some of them think that these are not necessity, and the poor are becoming lazy and are not working when such freebies are provided for them. But this is not true, because when we look at the overall cases that we have took here, it shows that freebie works in two ways. Firstly, it is helping for the human resource development that I talked about. Secondly, it is also helping for some of the other aspects of the society, like the farmers here. Okay, for the encouragement of the farmers, to increase the farmers' income as well. Fine. So these are the two things. But when we look at the incentives that are provided for the elites, that is for the rich people, like how in the recent years the corporate tax has been decreasing, like how the wealth tax has been abolished. When such free things are given for the rich, they are considered as an incentive and they are not considered as a freebie. That is what the author is arguing here. One more point what the author is arguing here is that these freebie culture, the argument or the discussion here should not be of whether these freebies should be provided or no. The argument here should be how to improve these freebies, as to how should eggs be included in the midday meals, should the number of working days should be increased for the Manrega workers, okay, should the non-ration card holders also be included in the PDS system as well as the Garib Kalyan Yojana. These are the arguments that the author has put forward. So please read the article. I've just given you the crux of this. It is your job to read the article. I'm just going to make you understand what the important points of this article are. Moving ahead, see, this is given in your Hindu newspaper today that the Supreme Court has quashed Jharkhand's 100% local reservation. Here the ruling is very important for us because it is a major implication, because some of the states here, even in the state of Karnataka as well, there has been a provision where 100% local reservation is being given in private jobs, in case of education, in case of other types of employment, group D. Okay, so these are some of the reservations that are being provided by some of the states. Here, what is important for you all are which articles or which part of the constitution come into question when such type of reservations are given. So when we look at it, the article here mentions the type of articles that are in question. Firstly, it talks about article 14, that is your right to equality, and then article 16 and article 16 clause 2 as well as article 16 clause 3, which are again your fundamental rights, which deals with right to employment, and then we have the article 35 here. Okay, so please look at these articles, and these are the articles which come in question when local reservation are being provided for the local population here. So this is how we have to read an article. You have to see the constitutional implication. What are the constitutional implication of such verdicts given by the Supreme Court here? Moving ahead, this is one of the important section. This has been given in a very small corner, and UPSC generally catches such small questions, small articles only. When you look at it, it is not visible in the newspaper, but it is your work to recognize the importance of such articles and study about it. Here, the article is about the Wildlife Protection Amendment Bill. See, the Wildlife Protection Amendment Bill, it was introduced in the Lok Sabha in 2021, and it has passed through several committees, studies, and it has been passed a few days back in the Parliament. So, firstly, we will look at what Wildlife Protection Act is here. See, the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, it is mainly for the protection. Okay, it provides legal framework. Legal framework means it is legal guarantee that is provided for the protection of various species of wildlife, animals and plants. Okay, from the protection of poachers here, from the attack of some other humans. The protection is given a legal status under the Wildlife Protection Act 1972 here. Not only the protection, it is also regulating and control of trade in what? In both the wild plants and animals. Wild plants and animals. Fine. How is the protection given? The protection is given by having 6 schedules. Okay, there are 6 schedules under the Wildlife Protection Act which provide for protection of these wild animals as well as plants. The 6 schedules, under 6 schedules, 4 are for animals, 1 is for plant, and 1 is for vermin. What are vermins here? Vermins are small animals which carry diseases, okay, which carry diseases, and vermins can be killed. If few years back, this, there was this one state government which considered rat as a vermin. Okay, so when an animal is considered as a vermin, then the state government is providing for the right to kill. Okay, right to kill is provided here. Now when we look at what the amendments are here, okay, when we look at what the amendments are, see, firstly, the amendment is being brought in to implement of CITES. Okay, CITES is a very important convention. It is Convention on International Trade of Endangered Species of Flora and Fauna. Okay, so CITES, basically what it does is prohibits the trade, international trade. It prohibits export and import of wildlife animals which are endangered species. Okay, both the wildlife animals and plants, both are protected here. So for the implementation of these CITES, the government here has established 2 authorities, that is Management Authority as well as the Scientific Authority. Okay, what the Management Authority, the work here is that, so if there is some specimen of plants and animals that is being exported or imported, the management authority will be looking at it, will be taking a call whether such animals should be imported or exported here. Okay, so the management authority does that work. Secondly, scientific authority. The scientific authority work here is that if some specimen of plant and animal is being imported, okay, or exported, so what will be the scientific implications of such export or import? That is the work of scientific authority here. That is the first new that is the first amendment that is brought to this bill. Secondly, rationalization of the schedules. See, as I told you, in the original Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, there were 6 schedules. Now, the total number of schedules has been brought to 4 now. This Schedule 1 and Schedule 2, it is going to protect the animals. Schedule 3 is for plants. This Schedule 4 is for sites. Schedule 4 for sites means that if sites recognizes some animal as critically endangered or endangered, and if it bans export or import of such animals or plants, then it is also recognized under the new Wildlife Protection Act here. Then we talk about invasive species. Invasive species are those species which are not original to our natural habitat, and if by the introduction, what will happen is there will be competition for the resources. So this as well, there has been a few modifications that has been brought to the original bill when we look at the invasive species here. Fourthly, it talks about the control of sanctuaries. Okay, so from now on, the sanctuaries will be controlled by the Chief Wildlife Warden, and this Chief Wildlife Warden will be appointed by the state government. Okay. This Chief Wildlife Warden, who will be looking at the sanctuaries, who will be administrating the sanctuaries, he will be appointed by the state government. Very important. There may be a question regarding this as to who appoints the Chief Wildlife Warden. It is the state government here. Nextly, it talks about the conservation reserve. See, conservation reserve means if there is any protected area, like we have national park, wildlife sanctuary, or tiger reserve. Okay. If this is the area that is totally under the protected area, the nearby area, okay, the nearby area, this can be declared as a conservation reserve. This will also get the same level of protection here as these protected areas. And this conservation reserve can be declared by both the state as well as the central government. Okay, this is the new clause that has been brought to the Wildlife Protection Act. Lastly, penalties. Okay, the penalties in the new bill have been changed. They have been upgraded. Now the penalties, if there is violation of any provisions of the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, the penalties have been increased. The jail time has been increased now. Fine. So these are the new amendments. Please look at it. As I told you, if there is any new bill passed by the parliament, or if there is any new bill introduced, you always have to look at this website, that is PRS India. They give the detailed explanation of these bills. Fine. So please look at this site, or you can just look at the explanation that I have given here. So that's all. That's it from today's video. Do follow us on the social media handles. Do follow us on YouTube, Telegram, Instagram, as well as on Facebook. Do write the answers that are at the end of the video. Thank you.